What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Conversations of Faith with friends and family. We're so happy that you're here with us, aren't we, guys? Tell them how happy we are.
Excited.
Happy.
You see?
Excited.
You see? They love you. Man, we're so appreciative that you take the time to listen to us right now. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, set the notification bell, and share this. This may be a good episode for you or for your friends or your loved ones, whoever. We want them to be able to know where they can find us. So definitely share it. Share it. Comment below. Tell me something nice about me. I'm feeling low today. I'm just kidding. I'm not feeling low, but I do like compliments. So keep them.
He does. He loves compliments.
Thank you. See, I even like that.
Hey, Evan, don't forget you have your button right there.
That's right. I've got my
dislike button.
Dislike.
This is a dislike button. This is for Evan, who happens to be married to one of the cringiest husbands in the world. So let me give you an example of what Evan. You may have to hold this to your microphone to hear it, but if I say something that Evan doesn't like, she hits this button and it says a couple of different things. Here's one of them.
That's a huge thumbs down.
How did that sound? Did that come through clearly? That's a huge thumbs down.
I need one of those for myself at home.
She's like, I need that for life.
one for every room of the house. She's gonna wear it like a life alert necklace. Right?
It's always in her pocket.
Yeah, that way she doesn't. Listen, I wanted to tell you guys this story that happened to me. I have a friend who has a daughter, and we were talking on the phone, and we were talking about how to do something, how to do a project, and I was like, hey, how do we do this? This is what needs to be done. And my buddy was like, it's simple. It's super simple. All you have to do is this, and this. He's like, it's so easy. My soon to be grandbaby can do it. And I went, wait, what? And this guy let it slip that his daughter was expecting a grandbaby. And it was just so funny because he didn't catch it. So he's like, yeah, it's so easy. My soon-to-be grandbaby could do it. And the whole conversation, so I was like, wait, hold on. We're not just going to breeze past that. What? You're saying that you're... And he got quiet. He's like, yeah. And then I was on speakerphone in the car, and the other guy, he knew about it. But I was like, so I guess mum's the word, right? And he's like, yeah, that's not supposed to be common knowledge. But I just thought it was so funny because his baby is having a baby. Yeah. She's the age of our son, I think, maybe a little bit older. And so what I wanted to talk about today was parenting, and just what it's like for us. We're parents. Maybe you are a parent. Maybe you're a soon-to-be parent, but I guess every 10 years or so you can say parenting is not like it used to be because the way pop culture moves, technology, different things like that, the way it just changes. It's so fast. So I figured today we would talk about parenting and what it's like. And I wrote down some famous biblical parents. And so I'll start with my list here. I wrote down the model parents, Mary and Joseph. Were Mary and Joseph the model parents? They were in charge of the Messiah. Would you consider them the model parents?
I guess.
But they lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't know if they could be the model parents.
The model parents.
Yeah.
That's
After 3 days, they realized that he's not there.
Right.
They might have been the most important.
They realized it when Joseph was when he was like, Jesus, go bring me something to drink. He was like, Jesus,
Wait,
where is Jesus? And they're like, oh wait, wasn't he with us at the thing? That's funny. You know, like the reels that you see where they'll call a kid from across the house to go to the kitchen and get him something to drink.
This guy, that's how his dad was.
Oh, really?
Bad. He would call him in from playing basketball to come in and then call him all the way to his room, like, hey, get me a glass of water.
He'll come out. Go downstairs, go to the backyard. He can whistle real loud. Whistle. And all the kids like, hey, Alex is your dad, so I got to stop playing. I'll be back. I got to walk. Mind you, it's not right there. It's like maybe a quarter of a mile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got to walk all the way up
I could
there.
whistle that loud.
By the time I get over to the house, he's not in the backyard. He's back in his bedroom. So I got to go inside. I got to take my shoes off because you can't come in the house with shoes. I take my shoes off, walk upstairs, go to his room, make sure I'm not sweaty, make sure everything's good. And
Sir.
Yes, Daddy. Get me a glass of water.
So he had come all the way out there where he could
Past
have
the kitchen like 3
Twice.
times.
He passed the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
Fatherhood,
That's
the
funny.
joys of fatherhood. You too can do this to your children when you, if you so choose. That's funny. Another set of parents I have down, Rebecca and Isaac. You know, I thought it was interesting because each one of them had a son that they favored, right? Isaac, Esau. I don't know. Did he really favor him, or did he just like his food? It says it, but
That's important.
yeah, I
like his food.
thinking about it, but Rebecca for sure,
Mhm.
you know, favored Jacob
Mhm.
over Esau to the point that she
Mhm.
helped him steal the blessing. You know, that's something that people. I don't have a favorite child. You know, I have things that I enjoy doing with one child over the other, but this is it. This is literally, and even Jacob, his favorite son was Joseph.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel bad because I'm sure there are people who have children who they favor more. I will say this: my sisters say that I'm the favorite. They say that. Well, let's see. What do they call me? They call me the golden child. They say that I'll put this in terms we can use that I
Don't say.
don't
No.
say that I blank ice cream. How about that? That's
No.
don't
Just
I already did. That's not bad. The apprehension here is that we are also in Spanish. Our podcast goes out in a Spanish language. Is that correct? And sometimes the things that I say for the a big thumbs down.
That's your first one.
The
Ask for it.
some of the things that I say don't translate very kindly in the Spanish language. So, but yeah, my sisters would say that I'm the favorite child. What about you?
I'm definitely not the favorite child.
You're not?
I'm the middle child, so I was more ignored, I think, because I wasn't the baby, and I didn't get to do everything that my sister did because she was the oldest one. So
oh
What
yeah.
about you, Evan? Were you your parents didn't really
I
between
mean,
you and your
they don't say that I'm the favorite,
Push
but
well, let's be honest.
I mean, there were times where I'm sure I wasn't, but I think sometimes I am. I don't know.
Alex, you were
I was,
Just
a,
being
I was a
modest.
favorite grandson.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, from my grandmother. I was number one always.
Well, I think your father favored you to the point that he didn't want anybody else to bring him
Yeah.
that water but you.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
That's
Playing
so
ball?
special.
Come on, son. I love you. Bring me that.
But you were better treated sometimes because you would behave than your other brothers.
Well,
His brothers would always push the
no,
limits.
I was given more liberty
yeah.
because I figure out that
So that's a favor.
he was military,
Mhm.
so he wanted things done right. So I just beat him to it.
Mhm.
I know what I had to do, so I beat him to it. I beat him to this, and I was the one that wanted to play games outside. I was playing everything outside. My brothers, they were on the Nintendo, and so they didn't care about going outside. So I knew the first thing that grounded you back in the days, believe it or not, you got grounded from going outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now they make you. That's funny.
That's so funny. That's so
I
true.
know,
That's
it's
like you
true,
said, every 10
though.
years. Like
Every 10
yeah.
big
years.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote down Hannah, who was a barren woman, and she wanted a child so bad that she prayed. And what I liked about Hannah is that she wanted a child so bad that she said, "Lord, if you give me a child, I'll give him back to you." And I just thought that was a very moving
Mhm.
story. I hate to say story, but an instance in history where this woman, and I was reading through it, and it says, I forget the other lady's name, but she was taunted. Hannah was taunted constantly by this other her sister wife, right, for not being a mother. Back in the biblical times,
Mhm.
having children, being able to give birth to children was a sign of favor from God. Now in this day and age, it's, I don't know, they try to convince you that a man can do it. But
It's a whole other
makes no sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Literally makes no sense.
Yeah. But Hannah, she prayed, and her son was Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
She gave birth to Samuel.
We literally dedicate our kids in church, and we dedicate them back to the Lord on the basis of what she did.
Yeah.
That's right.
So she's somebody that,
Set a precedent.
parents, right,
Yeah.
now
The
even
foundation
do
for
what
that.
she did. Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. Next up on the list, Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, the first parents. Look at their children. Their first sons, one murdered the other one.
Yeah.
It's just like that was, parents who have lost children. I don't know any parents who have had their children murder the other one, but Adam and Eve had to deal with, as far as I can tell, the first murder in the history of mankind was
First recorded
a sibling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's hard right there.
Mm-hmm.
Siblings.
And lastly, I just put this down because I was reading this morning in my yearly Bible, and I'm in is it Leviticus? I don't know, but I was thinking about Moses. Moses had to play stepdaddy to the children of Israel. He asked the Lord, he's like, why? He's like, did I give birth to these people? And we've talked about this before. The way Moses talks to God, I'm just like, it's like when you're a kid and you see, like, you would have whooped us for that, right? When the older kid sees the way a younger kid talks to the parents, like, you would have beat us if we talked to you that way. But Moses,
He invented keeping it real.
yeah. He's like, did I give birth? Why did you do this to me? Kill me now.
Yeah.
He said, if you favor my life, take it. Kill me.
Moses
So,
even told God to repent.
it's wild. I love it. I'm like, oh man, Moses, chill, bro. Like Moses. But yeah, that's all I wanted to start, was talking about those, and I'm sure there are more that somebody will put in the comments below your favorite biblical parent, and why you like them. But Saidu, do this for me. Get that picture, because this is the last thing, and we'll get into more of the discussion of what we're talking about. There was this lady. I wanted to see who had, because so Abraham is the father of many nations, right? And what does it say? Like, if your descendants will be that of the sand of the shore, if it can in fact be numbered. Pull this up, Saidu. I wanted to know what the who had the most kids, or if we could say the woman with the most children according to records is this lady, who is said to have birthed 69 children. Go down and look at what it says that she had. 16 sets of twins, 7 sets of triplets, and 4 sets of quadruplets over 27 pregnancies. 67 of the 69 children survived. The claim is disputed, as records at this time were not well kept. But then this guy right here, he was the first Wilt Chamberlain. I guess Wilt Chamberlain didn't really parent any or father any children, but 87 children between 2 women. Wow.
87?
Between 2 women is the part that makes it, because for men, it can be spread out to multiple, but 2 women to have 87 children. I mean, that's over
Can't
40
even
apiece.
imagine.
Did Maury Povich verify this? Like, we're all just...
He started dancing. He's like, he was happy when he was the father. He's like, you are the father. And he's like, hey.
Nick Cannon was going for that record.
I saw this picture that was a picture of a grocery store aisle, and it was somebody had taken a picture of the juice aisle, and it was cranberry juice, and it was like all the different cranberry juices, and it said cranberry juice be out here making juices with any fruit or whatever, and somebody commented Nick Crannon. There are so many cranberry juices. It's
There really are. I never even thought about that, but there really are.
Mm-hmm.
her daughter loves
They're good,
cranberry
though. I love
juice.
cranberry.
kids, bro.
Yeah.
So I wrote down some talking points about parenting, the traps of the electronic age. Man, that, like you said, back in the day, it was about going outside. We did have Nintendo. We're not so old that we didn't, but even Atari, so
Even Game Boy. We did have a little bit of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I will but we didn't have TVs in our room. So that was a thing. Like the Nintendo was connected to the main TV.
The only TV.
Right. But the electronic age, I forget how old were our kids when we gave them cell phones. I think Brighton
13.
had 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were going off and doing.
I think Bryn was 12 because she was at the barn a lot, and so we wanted to be able to get in touch with her. But Brighton was 13. I remember.
Yeah, I think ours
Mhm.
was 11.
Well,
But he needed it for the same reason. He was off. And it wasn't an iPhone or anything like that. It was just like a
Right.
flip phone. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. And so we even they had like this kid tablet. It's like a kid.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a kid tablet. Well, that joker, it was not the safest device out there either.
Was that
I
like a
don't-
leapfrog, something?
Nabby.
I don't even
Mhm.
know
It was
about
called
that.
And
Nabby. It was maybe like a leapfrog, but yeah, the access that children have through technology
It's scary.
it's such
Terrifying.
a different thing, and you have to really make a decision, I think, to be controlling. You have to draw a line with those things and how much you let that be a part of your kid's life. I'll say this. I was doing some work at someone's house, and they had a baby. They have a baby, and I don't know, she's at the age, I don't know how old she is. Let's say she's less than 2 years old. She's barely got any teeth. I don't know how to date babies, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but she's walking around just with
Are
the
you
phone.
serious?
Yeah, and it's not like she's using it, but it's just in her hands, and it's interesting that that's a soothing thing. Like, here, take
Mhm.
this thing, and then it's just like, it's just funny. It's not a block, or it's not one of those little popper toys that you push. It's the phone, and people are sometimes, I think, impressed. Oh, they know how to use that better than me. Well, that's because it's in the hands at such an early age,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
before you know it, they know how to search things, and it's just
It's because
not-
kids.
No, go ahead.
Kids mimic.
mhm.
So that's
right.
That's why the vacuum cleaners they had like because they saw the mom and vacuuming, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
then they had the little pulley telephone with the eyes on it because they would see somebody on the
Mhm.
telephone. So now they see that all we do is do this, so
Sit.
that's what they want to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why they mimic it. I mean,
I was watching. This is kind of funny. Dwayne Wade, he was on some podcast, and he was talking about situation, with his
Mhm.
younger
Mhm.
son that he transitioned, I guess. And he was talking about as that when he was a young kid and he had a lot of sisters. He said it was normal for me to wear all my sister's stuff. And another podcast like, hold up, hold up. Like, I can understand every now and then, like a kid may put on a shoe or whatever, like a high heel or whatever, but all the time, like all the stuff, if you're all the time doing that, he said, that might raise a red flag there if you're always doing it.
So D
Mhm.
Wade said that he did it. All the
D-Wade
time?
said he did it all the time.
well, I'm not gonna lie, my brother. So it was me, my sister, and my brother. We thought he was our real life doll. I mean, we would put him in dresses and play with him when he was a baby, like he was just our baby doll.
Yeah.
And he didn't choose that, obviously. And when he was older, there was no way he was going to let that happen. But oh yeah, we put him in our doll clothes. Like he was
That's
literally a
funny.
living doll for us.
That's funny.
cute.
Yeah, I did. I grew up with 4 sisters, so I'm sure that I've probably put on. I know I walked around in my mother's high heels because I wanted to see how do you even do that.
Mimicking.
But one time I have this memory of, I don't know what possessed me to do it. I don't know if it was a dare or what, but I put on my sister's bathing suit. It was a one-piece bathing suit. My mom took and pushed me out
Evan
the
hit
front
that
door. She pushed me out the front door and locked me onto the front porch.
That's
My sister's
mean.
bathing suit.
Two-piece?
Your
No.
mom?
It
It
was
sounds
one-
like a kid would do that to you.
Mom, I'm sorry if that wasn't you, but I feel like maybe that's how
Wow.
I remember it. It was like, all right, you want to boom and lock me out.
Oh,
But
man.
we lived on like this road. We were far enough off the road, so it wasn't like this like downtown Atlanta where people are like, look at this guy. But
Yeah,
And my dad did something.
They would have found you this era. They would have found you. There's another one.
Yeah.
He wants to be this.
I know. They would have their phones out.
yeah, right. No, nowadays people wouldn't even see me. They'd just be
Yeah,
walking
no one
down
sees
the
anything.
street
You'd
on
have
their-
been found.
looking at their phone. I got right here. What have you created? I wrote this down because I was having a conversation with a friend, and she had mentioned that her son was going to be graduating soon, and that he just hadn't prepared it for anything beyond high school. And she made the statement that she was responsible for that from the time that he was young. He really didn't have to. She just focused on giving him the best that she could, making sure that the life that you wanted when you were a kid, the best of everything, to making sure you don't want for anything. But it just so happened that it never really helped him to prepare for a future. And so I think that's where this episode idea came from, was because that as a parent, obviously you're responsible for raising your children up in a certain way that they leave, because the Bible says that when you get married, you leave your family.
Mhm.
So you have to be mindful that your kids are not your friends. They can be your buddies, but you have to draw that line and say, this is important. This is what you need to do. I think we've talked about it here in school. They're teaching them things that really, when they step away, they're not. Some things are useful. There's a time and place depending on your profession or what you do in life. Those things can be valuable, but there are more important things that, like, some parents just send their kids to school to raise them, and then they come home, and as long as they feed them and give them a place to sleep, they think they're doing their job, and that's not at all it, because at some point you've got to send those kids out as productive members of society.
Right.
Right.
And
The children really are the future. I mean, we say
Yeah.
that in a cliche way, but it really is the truth. They are, the future society.
Yeah.
So, and I feel, there are a lot of, there are a lot of single moms. There's a lot of single
Mhm.
parents,
A lot,
and there's
yeah.
a lot of single family households or single parent households. And, you get in that place of, you're busy, you're working, you get up early, you have to support the kids, you've got to take them to school, then you've got to get them to the daycare, or however it works. And there's just all this. I'm sure. I haven't had to deal with it since Brighton was real little and you were away, but I know it's hard. It can be hard and challenging. So that's when I feel like there needs to be people that come alongside these mothers and even single dads. And because, they say, it takes a village. And I think that's true at the same time. And that's why it's important to get in a community of believers that can come alongside you and help you, even if you don't have family that live nearby. But yeah, we are living in the product of a time when there were a lot of parents that just didn't really, obviously parents love their kids, but I think when we were young, and I'm not saying this about my parents, but I've seen a lot of my friends came from broken homes. There were so many things that went on. And then parents just struggling, like I said, to get by. And so they're working constantly. And then the kids are just, they're pretty much raising themselves, or the siblings are raising the kids. And so now we see that product in our society, in our culture. And there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of issues. And then they are in turn becoming parents. And then the cycle gets repeated. And so that's why I feel like it's so important for us as parents that know the truth and that have the time to put into our children how much more important that is for us to realize that, we're the ones that are creating these, because I see my home as a safe place, for my children and for other children that would come to be there. And I want them to know that that's always a place that they can come and be safe. And that whatever happens in life, whatever they do, we're a place that we want to build you back up. And, but a lot of people don't have that and haven't had that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just think it's something we need to realize that, yes, we can teach about parenting and we can talk about it, but it's still going to be, there's a lot that's just not going to get solved.
You can't solve it. You can just do your best. You know what I mean? And like you said, we're in a place right now where way more people are in single parent homes.
Mm-hmm.
For multiple different reasons. But, that's why I agree with you 100%. Like, you have to know who your children are around. Who are you leaving on with? Where are they going to school? Who are their friends? Because those are the people who are helping you develop who they are.
Yeah.
Even your own family. Just having that support system. I think that's why they say it takes a village, is because you do need a support system. People
Mm-hmm.
that are going to watch your children when you're not there and, help them to make right choices, because choices right now are very hard. I mean, the generation before us was more if all the moms were home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Right.
when we went to 2-income families, that changed a lot, because
Mhm.
then, like you said, now kids are more latchkey kids. And then we started putting them into so many different activities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we weren't in 100 activities.
Mm-mm.
You have some kids, their calendar is more
Right.
intensive and stressed out than, an adult. And I think people do that because they think that it's keeping the children out of trouble. Like, oh, I'll just stick them in piano and softball and dance, and then they don't have time to go to the football games and make bad choices and stuff, which I'm not saying is wrong or right. But I think children also need to be children.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from both sides of keeping their innocence and keeping their stress levels at a normal
Mm-hmm.
level.
So
Right.
it sounds to me like football games is where you did all your bad kids.
I mean,
No,
there were some,
But there was some bad stuff that happened in football
I've been
games.
to some football games. Yeah, you can get into some stuff. I'll
Yeah.
just say
That is true. Yeah, the football games were always, if you weren't on the sidelines, you just go to socialize.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't care
Everybody
about
went out.
watching high school football.
Friday Night Lights, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was especially in Loganville, I mean, that was the thing we did, is we went to the football games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't remember going to any other game, but the football games were, if you weren't there, then people were like, you were just not cool. Why are you not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not cool.
You know,
Yeah.
I think there needs to be like in every parenting, even if it's a single parent or just, because sometimes we think that there needs to be two parents present in order for that kid to be raised successfully.
Mhm.
But I think before that, there's two things that needs to be in a home in parenting: love and discipline
Mm-hmm.
have to be
Good.
present.
Yeah.
A lot of homes have one.
Mm-hmm.
They have love, no discipline.
Right.
Or they have
Right.
discipline, no
Or they
love.
have discipline, no
That's
love.
good.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
Both need to be
Mhm.
present. You need to learn how to balance those,
That's good.
because every kid needs that. Now you can do it perfectly. Still, the kid has to choose.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, you can raise the best kid at home with both love and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And once he gets to that age, or she gets to that age, it's up to her to choose.
Mm-hmm.
To choose to take everything you've and put it in her, or to just go a different route.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, it's not the parents' fault. It's just the kids they get to a certain point in life, is now they have a right. It's their time in life for them to express their will and what their desires. Now they're gonna have some of those things that you put on there, but they might choose to, I'm gonna go completely this way. I've had a lot of friends in Panama that were raised in good homes, two parents. I wasn't, unfortunately, wasn't under the same roof with my mom and my dad. I had a stepmom with my dad, and with my mom, I had another stepdad. But there was plenty of kids, and I used to envy them, because I used to, I wish I could be under the same roof with my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
And I would look at some of the decisions that they make, and I'm like, yo, like, bro, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to do none of those things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you have a perfect situation.
Mhm.
Like, your parents love you. They give you all these things. Like, what are you doing?
got it all, and they just want
You know,
something that.
They
what
want more.
what
Yeah.
would you
Yeah,
make that?
take it for
You
granted.
know, good, loving,
Mhm.
and they will discipline them also, but the kids will just make stupid choices.
Mhm.
So sometimes, to the parents out there, it's not that you're doing a good job. I mean, a bad job. It's just there comes a point in time in which their kids are going to choose.
Mhm.
Hopefully they'll choose what you've put into them,
Mhm.
and but that's just life. I'm sure that Adam and Eve then raised Cain different than Abel.
Right.
Right, exactly.
But something in him, envy for his brother, and he became the first murderer. So
That's you were talking about love and discipline, and my next talking point was tough love,
Mhm.
because I think that when you say love without discipline, people are fearful of pushing their kids away and end up making them worse for the wear. Is that how you say it? But when I was a younger parent, when our son was years, like when he was, I don't know, 5, 6. And I don't say this to brag, just to kind of pull back the curtains on why I'm talking about tough love is I had this idea about discipline and what it was. And so I would make him do things like push-ups and more physical. It was less about spanking, but more, I think, of trying to break the will or just to show that I was in charge. And looking back on it, I wish that I didn't do any of it, because it was just, it's,
It was from that military.
Mhm.
yeah,
mindset.
that's really what it was. And they're just things that I did looking, I'm like, what, that was a kid. Like he was, what are you doing? You're trying to teach an 6 or 7, 8-year-old, putting him in push-up position. Like that just, it doesn't even make sense. So, but now, thank God, our relationship has been, I say restored, because I used to say that when he was younger, we got along like brothers, and I was the older brother, and I could make him do what I wanted. It was, I don't know, I was very mature. Like Evan said, I was when I was
You
in
say immature or mature?
I was immature as a father, as a person, as a man.
Mhm.
It took me forever to grow in
Yeah.
every aspect of my life, but when I was gone for like the first 5 years of his life, for a lot of it being in the Navy. And so when I'd come back, I would see that I would leave and he would be have a certain mentality, and I'd come back and he would be smarter. So I would expect more. And so I would do things, I would just based on, oh, well, he understands this, he needs to understand this. So I think that sometimes a parent can forget that even at 20, even at 20 years old, our son still has some mature. I'm not saying he's an amazing kid.
He is an
now,
amazing kid.
but even there are things that will have
Right.
to develop that come through learning and just tough love, and that, hey man, this is why I'm telling you to do this. Whereas before it was just like, do this.
Well, do you think, that changed as your relationship with the Lord changed,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
As you matured in the Lord, I feel like that
Yes,
changed
understanding
everything.
grace and mercy and things, and even with our daughter now, I think about just every time it's weird. Maybe it's because I was there when she was a baby. Like I got to experience the newborn baby all the way up until 14. So I hate it when I have to get on to her. I'm like, but sometimes
And
it
she's a
just
girl.
gets to the point.
Right.
Yeah, girls.
It's different.
I'm
Yeah.
just like,
I
I hate that I have to do this to you, but like at some point we've got to do something.
There are boundaries, right, that
Yeah.
you set with children, and
Mhm.
you need to set boundaries. And I think because our culture, we're not used to setting boundaries in any part of our lives.
Amen.
You know, we don't even know how. We're like, boundaries, what is that? We don't understand. So with our children, we're like, oh gosh, are they gonna not like me, or
Yeah.
is this gonna change our relationship? And
Guilty.
Right?
I am guilty of that.
I've been there too, but then it's like, no, that I'm your parent. I'm doing this because I love you, not because I want to hurt you and hurt your life. But that does come with maturity. I mean, and as parents, give us some slack because we're learning along
day.
the way.
Still
That's
today,
right.
we're learning.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to do everything perfectly, just like in every other area of life. We're still growing and maturing, and but I think that that's important too. When we mess up, to go to our children and say, "I'm sorry,"
Yes.
Yeah, that's
you know, and acknowledge that we've done something wrong.
Mhm.
And I remember my dad doing that at different points when I was young. He would, you know, if he had acted out in anger or yelled at us or something, or, you know, if it was out of character, I remember he would always come back and apologize. And that always meant something to me.
Yeah.
You know, it showed me that he was a real person too, you know, just learning at the same time. And so I try to do that with my kids as much as possible.
yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
teaching right there, because that's modeling what he wants you to learn.
Right.
You know, the very fact
Right.
that if you make a mistake, if you're insult somebody or you know do something, go back and apologize.
That's right.
Mhm.
Go forget for you know, ask for forgiveness. Tell that person that you're sorry. So you got to model as a parent. That's part
That's
of
good.
that's part
That's
of being
really
a parent.
good.
You got to
Mhm.
model what you want them to learn.
Right.
Because if you don't, I mean, that's unfair. You want them to do something you're not doing.
Right.
Right.
I remember
Don't
I
do
used
as
to-
I do.
Yeah.
Do as I
I
say.
I used to joke around with one of my cousins in Panama, because she would always, you know, the kids in Panama always run around barefooted. So you know about this. Always. And she would always scream at one of her kids and say, "Put your sandals on." And I look at her and I'm like, "Why'd you put yours on?" She's like, "Oh, don't worry about me." I said, "No. If you put yours on,
They
you'll
mimic.
start doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing exactly what you're doing. He's
Mhm.
taking his off too."
Yeah.
So I said, "You're ignorant. You're the ignorant one by telling him to put his on, but you don't have yours." And this is all she could not make sense of that. I said, "No, you gotta show him. You gotta do it first,
Mhm.
and
Be an
then
example.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so funny. I
Mhm.
mean, my
Well,
note,
That's
lead
good.
by example. It's go ahead, Christy.
No, I was gonna say our family was kind of the opposite, because I was not good at the discipline part for certain things, and he definitely had to, you know, help me in that area, because, like, I know kids have to do chores, but you guys all know how crazy I can be sometimes with the way things are done right, and so he wouldn't wash the dishes the way that I would wash the dishes, so I would just not have him do them. I would just do them myself. And then he would say, "Well, he's never going to learn. You make him wash them 3 times until they're clean." Like, and to me that was like, "Oh my God, that's so mean." Like, why would I do that to him? Why would I make him wash them 3 times? And he's like, "Because when he has a home, he's going to know how to wash dishes."
Mm-hmm.
And to me that never even crossed my mind that, like, I was doing something wrong. I thought, well, you know, just sparing him the work and me the disappointment of it not being up to my standards.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to really open my eyes to that. And then he is more disciplinarian as far as those kind of things. But, like, I would be more, it has behavior. Like, we want to discipline him, or he'd be like, "Well, you know, he is a boy and he didn't mean to do it that way," or whatever. So we definitely complimented each other to get it done the right way,
Mhm.
because we never saw it the way that the other one saw it
Right.
until it was revealed to
Mhm.
us. So
I remember one time with the video games. So she was in charge. She was the one that decided when he was going to play the video games, whatever. But then it wasn't working. So I said, "No, let's give him all the video games." I said, "I'm gonna give you all the video games. You can play them to however you want to. You can play them to 1:00 in the morning, 2:00 in the morning, however. But you're going to school the next day. Now, in the next month, if that's affecting you, then you're gonna make the decision as a man. Do I need to stop playing video games at the time they told me to?" So guess what? It didn't even take 2 weeks. He couldn't keep up. I was falling asleep at school, not doing his work. So what'd you come up with? "Oh, it's not working." See? 'Cause
Yeah.
she was like, "Nah,
No,
you
no
can't give
video
him all the
games
games."
after
So, "Nah, let him have it. You'll see."
Like when
Mhm.
God gave the Israelites quail till it came out of their noses, he said. And then this was so funny. I was reading it, and then it's like And then it said God, the meat was between their teeth, and God's anger burned, and he struck him down. He was just like, I was like, man, that's cold. He gave like, here, eat it. And then he saw him eating it, and he was like spanking him. He's like, are you eating it? Okay, I'm gonna spank you now. Which there are parents like that too. But I just thought that was funny.
But now that he's an adult, we did teach him things like he knows how to wash clothes. He knows how to cook his own food. And his fiance is like, thank you so much for teaching him these things, because now, it's not like it's all up to me. He's very much like, the chores are everybody's. It's not your job to clean and cook. It's actually, he does more of the cooking than she does because he likes to cook. And they have a very mutual respect for each other, and they split, all the household duties and stuff. So
that's awesome. I wanted to talk about something that Alex mentioned earlier. One of my points. You guys have like hit all of my bullet points
because we're that good.
Naturally. I know. I was like, wait, did I
We're
share these?
To the spirit.
Did I? Yeah.
Did I share these?
But the thing that I have written down here says, at what point do you relinquish authority over your kids? Like, at what point do you just, not to say that you never try to help them again, but you say, and I guess I'm not really looking for an answer, but just kind of, because you had said it, at some point you just got to say, I'm here if you need me,
right?
But you've got to figure this thing out. And
so I think that's the hardest place to be.
Yeah.
I think certain things, I mean, I don't think there's a specific age. I think even now, like you guys having a younger kid, there's certain things that you have to let her do now. Like go so she can see for herself that, oh yeah, maybe this is not the right thing to do here. Because so it's not. I don't think there's a certain age or date. Now you just boom. I think it just happens. It just happens. Like you let them do that more, so she can see. Like with Anthony, with that time, she couldn't see that.
No, I couldn't.
She thought what I was doing was crazy. Like you just gonna let him play games all night?
Bad. I'm like,
I
are
said,
you crazy?
No,
that's the worst idea.
There's a plan behind this. I want him to learn. If you want to live that life, you're gonna suffer, and it's up to you. No one else. You're the one that's going to school. You're the one that's going to get the grades. I don't have to stand. I don't have to go to school. I don't have to sit there and pay attention. I'm done with that. It's up to you. So if you think it's more important for you to play the games all night and then suffer at school, hey, it's all you, buddy. Let's see how long you can do that.
Yeah.
So I think it just happens. I don't think there's a certain a specific age.
Maybe maybe you can see it, you recognize.
Yeah, you can
in
see
your
it. You'll
children,
see it.
like okay, you're ready.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's for every child. It's probably a different time.
Yep.
Right.
There's probably some kids you have to see all the way until they're like 25 because there's certain things that they just still don't have. Like even yourself, like if you had your family there supporting you more when you were struggling as a young father and a young husband, then that could have helped you to develop quicker in those areas. So I don't think your job as a parent is ever done. But it's very rewarding to see the other side of it. When, our son is a different place than y'all's. He's, has his own home. He's getting married. He's starting his own family. So that's very rewarding to see that, you did a good job and that he's able to keep a successful job and pay the bills on his own. And, but one thing that I've always told him, even from when he was like, he got a car till now, is I don't ever want you to think you messed up and I can't tell my mom. So I want to be the first person that you call. Because you're never going to be, I don't want that fear to ever be there. It's never going to be a problem for me. Like we'll work through yes, you might be in trouble for what you did, or even when he was, in the age where he would go to parties, I said, look, if you go to this party and there's something there that you didn't know was going to be there, if you call me and tell me, no problem. You come home, whatever, but let me find out that you did this, then it's going to be a different situation. And I think that really helped with our relationship because he's very open and very honest, and he always has been, because I took that wall down from young. And even his friends, like they always knew this. Like you said, this is a safe home. So if you're in trouble, this is who you call. This is where you get the help. But I had a different scenario that a friend shared with me that I wanted to bring up. She was saying that she had such a unhealthy relationship with food when she was a child because her parents were either on a diet or not on a diet. They never really lived like a normal, healthy lifestyle. So she learned that like cookies were bad, chips were bad, because so when they were in the house, when they weren't on a diet, it was like, we have to eat all of them that we can right now because we don't know when they're ever going to come back, you know? And so this is is what was developed in her all her life. And so, you know, she's always struggled with that because she really wants the sweets, and she has still the thing in her mind where like, I need to eat this whole box of cookies today because what if they're not here tomorrow, you know?
Me too.
And so she tries to do that with her children. Like they always have treats or whatever, but she teaches them the discipline, kind of what he was saying, you can have, you know, a cookie, but, you know, eat your dinner first, and never calling a food bad or good. Not saying, okay, eat an apple because it's good, and don't eat a cookie because it's bad, because all foods are okay if you learn how to do them.
And also, you're going to probably create some sort of temptation to do that thing.
That's what I'm saying. The kids who can't have soda are drinking as many sodas as they can when they go to their friend's house. Y'all know those kids. The minute they're out of the door, they're drinking every soda they can find.
And then other kids, like you've been drinking soda. Oh, mama.
My house has always been the house where I want it all. I always have the snacks and the stuff, because when I was growing up, we didn't have that. My mom always, it was like had to know all the ingredient list, and was like
a whole eater.
It was just very healthy.
Who was it that said an ingredients only house?
That's my house too. Like you would look in the fridge and it would just be like ingredients, you know, the things to cook with. Like you'd have to actually cook a meal.
That's the way that I do. I don't, now that we're, you know, we don't have Anthony. When he was here, it was totally different. I mean, we were always snacks. We had everything you can think of, but I don't really want us to snack. So it is like, if you can't just walk in there and grab something, you have to either make it
for yourself.
Right.
I know.
Alex, like, I love a box
I'm
of
a world-class snacker.
I'm looking at snacks right now.
Yeah. Eli and the kids will eat all the snacks.
Yeah.
Like
we had we lived in this neighborhood, and there was a time where there were no houses built in this neighborhood.
When we were first married? Or,
yeah.
I thought you were saying when you were young. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Sorry. The first house Evan and I had. And there was a time where the community was built, but then it stopped. Construction stopped, right? And then they started building more homes at one time. And with the new homes came
all these kids,
which was cool because our kids, like, literally we didn't have neighbors. They didn't have neighbors, and we wanted them to have kids that they could play with. But over the course of maybe 2 years, the kids in our neighborhood, there's 8 to 10. But our house was the first house in the neighborhood, and they would all come there, and they would play outside, and we have a garage refrigerator, and they would open it, and there would be like Gatorades and drinks, and so they would all come in there like, can we have?
We always have like ice creams, bars,
and our kids were young. Well,
Yeah.
Bryn was very young, but like, yeah, you can have this. And
then they would just come and they wouldn't ask, some of them, you know, and I'd be like, wait a minute. Like,
they're just throwing trash in the yard. But
it kind of went. We didn't set boundaries, and so
I'll say this, and we can wrap up with this. Those kids were the kind that, like, when we were younger, their parents were like, go outside
and play.
Go outside. And not that that's a bad thing, but I can tell that their home life was...
There was one little girl, she would come and play with our daughter in our neighborhood, and she was maybe 6 or 7, and we'd come to find out her mom was a single mom, and she worked. And so her and her siblings, they were all young, under the age of 12. They all would stay home by themselves until late at night. And the police came and everything, because somebody called it was us that called that time.
And here's why. This little girl came into our house one day, and I just happened to look down, and y'all, the lice that she had in her hair was so bad that I saw it like on her scalp. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but it looked like termites. I'm like,
Wow.
oh my gosh, like these. Like I was like, hey, honey, I need you
get
to go
out.
home, and I need
I
you to
even
tell
called
your
the
mom.
school, I remember, and it's like it was very you couldn't give out, they couldn't give out information
hush.
about such and such. And
But did you know that there's no in Georgia that the police officer said that as long as those kids had food and a home to go into, that
There's
there
really
wasn't
no-
a specific age, that I think they had to be able to feed themselves. A child has to be able to feed themselves, and you have to have food in your house and shelter for them to go into.
And even the police officer that came, he said that when he was a kid, that was his situation. From the time he was like 7 years old, his mom had to work, and so he would be at home by himself.
When we
for
moved
hours.
into the house we live in now, the neighbors were the same way. So I guess they were close to the man who used to live there, and they would come over to our house and just like they would never go home, like never go home. It would be like 10, and these kids are still in here. And every night I was like feeding them dinner, and I was like, I've never met your mom. Like, does she know you're in my house? Like, because I think our son was like in the middle of the two. The girl was older and the boy was younger. And apparently they spent all their time with the man who lived in our house before he moved out. And her mom worked like 3 shifts, and they got themselves ready on the bus. She gave them baths, everything, and they were small. I mean, they were young, but I just felt so uncomfortable with the fact that she knew the man, but she didn't know us. Like we had just moved in, and we had them in our house all the time. And I'm like, you can't come back over here until I meet your mom. Like she needs to know where you are, who's taking care of you, because I mean that's just so scary. I mean, we could have been really bad people, you know, and that's the scary part is knowing that these kids have so much freedom, and then there are so many people who are not going to just let them hang out and feed them food like we did, but could do horrible things to them.
I know. That's why I don't know. It's just, I'm thinking about it more and more. Parents need people to come alongside them. Because I was thinking about, even with you and Alex telling that story, it was like you wouldn't have known what to do in that situation, but you had him to help you.
Right.
And there are people that don't have any help. I think about the ones that, they end up abusing their kids because there's no help. They don't have a way out. And I just, when you see somebody and you're a parent, I mean, me now, it's making me more and more realize like I need to help people. I need to help, especially single parents and, just people that are struggling in that.
I wanted to, I don't mean to say, let's talk about me again for a minute, but I wanted to say that what I was talking about, this story with the kids in our neighborhood, is they were always outside, they were always playing, and and some people who, I don't know, you may have an opinion about this if you're still watching to this point, but the kids, they would just be like in the street. So I'm like, hey, get out of the street. I took it upon myself to like,
parent them all.
Yes. And I don't have any problem doing it, but I remember specifically one time we were at again, our neighborhood was supposed to be a retirement. This particular neighborhood was supposed to be a retirement community. So it was never set up to have a playground. But when they put the new homes in, they built a playground, and it took maybe a month. I don't know.
These kids tore up the playground.
There was trash everywhere.
I mean, the fence around it tore up the fence, tore up the.
So I was there one day with our kids, and all these kids were just there, and I was like, all right, everybody stop. Now, I will say this. These kids were respectful enough to listen to me, and I was stern enough to kind of command their attention. I said, everybody stop. Everybody go around and find a piece of trash to pick up and put it in this trash can. And they did it, and so they're cleaning up, picking up, like, man, we didn't even do this. And I said, okay, so the next time you see somebody throwing trash on the ground, you'll tell them, put it in the trash can, man, because last time I had to clean this up. Like, this is our playground, guys. This is your playground. Take care of it. Don't just let people come in here and trash your stuff because you want it to last, right? I love those kids. I genuinely do. I'm so glad I actually have a picture of them. Because the church that we were going to at the time did a vacation Bible school, and I brought the bus from the wasn't a bus, it was a van, and I rounded all of them up and took them to vacation Bible school, and they had all, man, they were good
Cool.
kids. They just needed somebody. And one thing I was thinking too is like so the households that didn't have kids, like we had one neighbor, like the kids would cut through their yard to catch the bus because it stopped at our house only. Like, so our house now, I love my yard. So like I was like, hey, y'all got to stop standing on the grass. You can stand in the driveway or stand on the sidewalk, but stay off
my
They would be on my porch some mornings. I'd wake up and
I
I'd
was
be like,
I was like Stanley
Who's
from
up?
Friday. You remember Stanley's like, for the last time, please stay off my grass. But these, I would see the way the neighbors would get on to them, and it was just like there was no compassion, there was no empathy, there was no trying to communicate. What I was guilty of with my own son, they didn't recognize that they were young and didn't think the way an adult does. But I really did enjoy getting to know those kids and taking the time to not just, I would get on to them, but I would also encourage them and hang out with them and do things. And but anyway, that's
how we
That's how-
can
yeah.
leave it. You know, just how Alex said. You know, what do they need? They need love and they need discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we all. I mean, we need.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
still need
it's
it.
that.
I
It
know.
fits every relationship because even
Really.
like in marriage, like love and discipline, like more boundary discipline. You know,
Right.
like setting all relationships really love and discipline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Let's
Great.
cut it there. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, set the notification bell, and share this to those unruly kids, parents that you know, so that they can learn to be as good of a parent as we are.
Kayla.
Epic fail. Dislike big time.
There we go.
All right, come back and see us next Saturday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.